Welcome to the Kelfire Show. I'm Dr. Kelly Barron, and today I am lucky enough, so lucky, to have Britt Brandon back. She is a health coach who's had over 20 years in the wellness industry, numerous certifications in fitness and nutrition, and she has a brand new book out, which I'm excited and I'm going to get. She Rises and Thrives, and she's here today to kind of walk us through her 6 pillars of health. So, Britt, welcome again. Anything I missed there you want to get in first? And then we
No, this is perfect. And thank you so much for having me back. I just absolutely adore you and had so much fun last time. So I've been looking forward to this. And it's fun that we're kind of trying to figure out, like, how would you really describe these pillars, right? Because it's interesting to think that we are so willing to jeopardize on like any one of these, I feel like, and not intentionally so, but it's kind of like if something's got to give, we totally take from one of these areas, and each is so essential in order to be able to kind of have that like well-rounded, well-being. And so in this book, it was fun to have each part kind of do a deep dive into a few elements that just over the course of the past 22 years with, over 10,000 clients, that it's been so incredible to kind of watch that these really do kind of hold everything together in terms of if you have any kind of illness, disease, dysfunction, these are the areas to focus on just to make sure that you're kind of like repairing every system, because they're all so intricately networked. But also it's just such an easy way of kind of keeping things simple and making it so that it's doable.
Before you even get into them, it's such a big thing for you to take on writing a book. Like, it's a huge project that so many of us, we have these ideas that we want to do these things and we don't follow through, or we feel like it's overwhelming or daunting. Mm-hmm. So just how did you decide, what, I am going to do this and I'm going to see this through? Because I can only imagine the amount of time that this has taken you.
So this has actually been a passion project for 6 years. Wow. And I know. And it's funny because, so I'll think that it's ready. And then 2 years ago, I was like, okay, we're ready. And every single door was closed. And it was like, okay, it's not time. And then just in December, this past December, I was like, I should finish it. And I literally was just like so all in, finished up the areas. I was like, oh, I should add this, and then I should add this, and then I could clean this up. And then it was like, oh my gosh, we're done. And I was like, okay, well, we'll try to see about a publisher, because I had pitched it. All of my other 23 books were with Simon & Schuster. And so I had pitched it to them, and they were like not loving the faith part, which I was even hesitant to include, but I felt like it was an important piece, no matter what, denomination, religion, whatever. I mean, like, you can focus on, you can praise a coconut. It's totally fine, But I mean, just be
praise a coconut,
right? I mean, just have that faith that it is not all on you. Do you know what I mean? Like, we have to. I do believe that. So when Simon & Schuster wanted to change things, I was like, I'll just do it on my own. And so I had kind of been peeking at publishers. I had interviewed a couple and just had like a really bad vibe. And I found one, and it was like, talk about alignment. And so everything just kind of scooted really quickly. And here we are. But I would say, if it's put on your heart to write a book, do it. And if it doesn't work, then it might not be time, but you never know. And so just start, and who knows, in 10 years you might have the most incredible thing. But I really do feel like we go through experiences, and if we can share the gems of wisdom that we kind of pulled out from our experience and are able to help other people who are just going through that, why not?
Well, I just think it's a huge testament to what you and I have talked about before, about whatever it is. It could be a book, it could be a trip, it could, whatever it is that your heart wants to do and you're scared to do, do it. Just do it, because failure's fine. Failing is fine, and one day failures will lead to success, but you'll have no regrets.
Right? Yeah. Yep. And it is, ooh, I'm covered in chills too. That's so, it's so true. And I am constantly whenever I'm stressed out, I'll go for a walk with my dogs, and it is so freeing to just say like, I am afraid, right? Like I am scared, but I'm going to just do it afraid. I'm going to do it afraid. And it's like, what's the worst that can happen? I mean, if you think about it, it's like, just like you said, like failures are what lead to success, and you learn so much in failures.
So much, and you learn so much about yourself and how you bounce back from it or adapt or move forward, or even just give up. But you learn something in that too about yourself, and you try to improve. Well, bring us into your, let's see, I got them written down. Food, fellowship, fitness, fun, faith, and sleep always screws me up because it's not an F, and so
I know. It was so funny when we were trying to figure out like how can we make this into an F word, and there's no F. Like we tried. Yeah, we tried everything, and it was like we could try to manipulate it, and it was like, no, just leave it. But I think it's funny that it stands out because sleep is one of the ones that I feel like we are most inclined to sacrifice. And it is so important. It is so important. I mean, it's like when you mess with your sleep, you mess with your hormones, and as soon as you mess with your hormones, it's a losing battle. There's you can't win. So
everything goes haywire.
And I mean, it affects blood sugar and everything. So we can, so I start with food. I moved the faith chapter to the end of the book because my oldest read it and she was like, nope, you need to move that to the end because people need to like get to know you and know that you're not like, because it's a touchy topic. And I actually had a client read it and she was like, I do not like this. It makes me uncomfortable. And I was like, ooh, look at that. Like, but you read it, like, look at us go, and I think that was pretty cool that it was like, it was enough that she didn't skip it. She wanted to, at least kind of hear the importance of my thinking that you just can't do it alone. Like you need to, like I said, I mean, it can be a coconut, but you need to hold that faith that like there is something like that is divine design at some point. So, but with food, we all know 80% of the game in anything that you're doing. So, I mean, whether you're trying to repair dysfunction or move towards a goal like weight loss or optimizing muscle mass, huge, absolutely, imperative to success in any one of the optimizing health focuses. And then with fitness, it can be something as simple as a daily walk. And as somebody who used to teach HIIT and was humbled by my body being like, I do not like this, and literally would start kind of making me feel like I had the flu after I would do a HIIT workout because I was just taxing my systems way too much.
Right.
I turned to Pilates and absolutely love my low impact. I do Pilates and I walk, and those absolutely just make my heart soar and they make my body happy. So it doesn't have to be anything intense, and that's what I incorporate in the book too. And then so it's food, fitness, fun, because a lot of us, I know, we stink at having fun sometimes. Like I thank my kids, because if it wasn't for them, I think I would literally leave my house like a fraction of the time. And I wouldn't laugh as much. And I wouldn't, do things that are outside of, like my routine. And so I think the fun chapter it was fun to write, but it was really cool to kind of bring it even to basics, like even just reading, like things that we have. It doesn't have to be like roller coaster rides or anything crazy, but like if you love to paint, paint. And if you love to read, read. And if you love to write, write. But we need to have something that like makes our heart happy, I honestly believe.
I struggled for a little while with fun, thinking like fun had to be, let's take like a Saturday or Sunday, like fun had to be, you got to be out all day and you got to do all the things and you got to be busy, busy, busy. And felt guilty for just like laying on the bed mid-afternoon and reading a book. I thought, well, this is pathetic. What have I done with my life? But in all actuality, no, that brought me happiness in that moment. That's the definition of fun. And so you're right. It doesn't have to be roller coaster rides or scuba diving. It can be the simplest little things. I love that. I think that's huge.
And, and some of us, I mean, I know I did for a long time, was we feel like we don't deserve it. Like it's almost like a form of self-care, and any kind of self-care is like not for me. Do you know what I mean? Like
Right.
I'm not there yet. I don't deserve that yet, which is so crazy to even like verbalize. But then when you start to kind of like follow that thread, it's like there's so much guilt and shame. You know, like this book is for women in recovery, and it started out as people who were like recovering from addiction and alcoholism, or you know, any kind of struggles in that area. And the more people who have read it are like, this was for me, like,
Yeah.
and they were recovering from grief. Or I had another client, she was like, this is for me, like, and she was talking about her illness, and we've had with disease, and I mean, like from cancer survivors, and it's crazy how many of us don't think of ourselves as survivors, and we're in recovery, and we're like, we could have gone a very different path, and we're here. And it's like the guilt and shame from whatever we've done in our past, which everybody has one, but for some reason we think we're unique. You know, and it's like, so we think it's not okay for us to have fun or for us to relax, you know, like taking a bubble bath and just being able to chill for a couple minutes. And it's so that chapter was really cool to kind of, you know, diffuse the myth of like, it has to, just like you said, like it has to be like an all day adventure or whatever the case might be. It doesn't have to be that. It could be literally like laying in bed and playing a game, or, you know, reading a book, something that just kind of like is your way.
I think we're so programmed because as moms, we've had to be the organizers and have the entertainment going, and the kids, everybody's got to have a great time. And just so the thought of like it being a very slowed down, slow pace, fun, if you will, for ourselves is so foreign. And yeah, we feel guilty because we're like, we should be organizing a party, and where are the cupcakes and this and that.
Or we should be doing laundry. Or we should be, you know, like and that's another thing. Like when it comes to sleep, I am teaching people constantly, like how we need to prepare for sleep. And so I'll even assign my clients, like, you know, like, did you practice a sleep routine? And it's so funny that, I mean, this is new to me too. Just a couple years ago, it was actually a client who was like, I think I want to work on my sleep. And I was like, how random, you know? And then we started, you know, like most people come to me and they're like, I need to lose weight, or I need to do this. And she's like, I think I need to focus on my sleep. So I started, you know, doing research into it, and it was absolutely mind-boggling. Like, of course, this plays such an integral role to our overall health because it impacts everything.
Yes.
And so it was really interesting for myself to get out of that mode of doing, because at the end of the day, there's so much left to be done, but there always will be. So it's like if you own a house, or if you live in a home, or if you have children, there's always stuff to do.
Always.
Yeah, like there's never ending. You will never be done. So I have 2 alarms that go off. One that goes off 2 hours before bedtime, and that one tells me like it's coming. And then the second alarm is shut down shop, and that's an hour before my bedtime. And that I have to stop whatever I'm doing, and everybody listens to it because it goes off on our Alexa downstairs. And everybody goes upstairs and does their bedtime routine of brushing their teeth, washing their face, picking their clothes out. And then it's no screens, in bed, reading. And then it's incredible how our bodies thrive on routine. So it's kind of like it's this amazing. And when you have enough sleep, when you have quality sleep, it's life-changing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just think of the little things like women that we go through. If we have really poor sleep, only a couple hours, and stress and cortisol has stayed really high, and we get up and we get on the scale and we're like 2 pounds up, and we start freaking out and our day's ruined. Well, really, it's all just because cortisol stayed elevated, probably didn't hydrate enough, and had no sleep.
Yep.
But that one little thing of lack of quality sleep destroyed our brains because we think we gained 2 pounds, and we're walking, we're Fiona in the Shrek form and the ogre form.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Yes, yeah.
So definitely a huge advocate for sleep, even if I don't necessarily get the best either. But strive. We do our best.
Yep, and that's the thing is it's so unique to you. So I mean, just like trying and working at it, it's just like anything else, you know. Like you have to figure out like my routine works for me, but it wasn't the first routine I tried, and you know the implementation of like a second alarm, like it was like the first that we just set an alarm like shut down shop, and it was like like I wasn't ready, you know?
Right.
Yeah, and so then we backed it up, and it was like, and then we had to even play with the times, and then like even my daughter came in this morning, she was like, I went to sleep at 9:32 last night, and I was like, look at you go, you know, and she's
That's good.
right, and she's a senior who like works full time and juggles all of these. I mean, she's got college classes, high school classes, a boyfriend, like a full time job, like I mean, it's all kinds of craziness, and so it's so and it really does. When you were talking about like the cortisol, when it wreaks havoc on our cortisol, it impacts our blood sugar, and it makes us crave carbs the next day.
Oh, yeah,
And I feel like it makes everybody feel like, why is this happening to me? And like, why am I always craving carbs? And how come I can't, you know, how come I can't have enough willpower to like stick to this? And it's like you're up against hormones, and it's not you, you know, it's a losing battle.
Right. You have to learn how to adapt to your body. You have to read your body. When we become very in tune to our body, I know everybody goes, oh, get the crystals out. And no, like if you just listen to your body, it's a phenomenal, I'd say it's a phenomenal piece of technology, honestly, because
Right?
it
Yeah.
does all these things and on its own automated. But if we learn to just listen to our own individual, stop chasing Google for symptoms or this or oh, this person said this and this is what I'm supposed to do, that's not true. It's what works best for you.
Yep.
Like you said, an alarm an hour ahead. That would be something I'd have to get used to, because I'm still in that, oh, but there's so much more to do.
So much to do.
Terrible when you really think about like the list, and and it's hard because you tell other people, but you don't do it yourself. But you're like that list it's always going to be there. Like it's just moving the checklist. So
right, it's just a flow. It's just it's never going to end.
You're like I try to say you're going to die at some point. So why not? And that list is going to be there when you die. So why not just like take time and say, here's like the 3 big things that have to get accomplished today, and the rest they can move over if they need to.
Yeah.
But that's huge. That's a huge point that you teach your clients, and I wholeheartedly agree. The hour, it would be nice. I think people would fall asleep quicker, more peacefully if they wound down an hour before and didn't like drink a lot of caffeinated tea or anything.
I had a client who was drinking black tea like an hour before and black tea has more caffeine than like I think anything in the world.
That's me. That's
oh my gosh! Oh my
gosh! Like, I'm gonna wind down with a cup of tea. And that's when I started to realize in black tea, and I'm like, I should probably switch to decaffeinated herbal something.
Right? And it was funny because I was talking to her and I was like, black tea, and she was like, yeah, I love it. And I was like, I do. I think it's like the most caffeinated thing in the world. She was like, oh, is that right? Because I mean, I love it. And it was like, yeah. But I mean, you can't be drinking it. So we started discontinuing it at noon, and she would just switch to decaffeinated tea. So it was kind of like a placebo, and It was life-changing for her. But I mean, that's like my son last night. I hear a crack, like a soda can crack open, and I was like, James Daniel, what is that noise? And he was like, he comes into my room and he's holding a ginger ale, and I was like, you can't be drinking soda. And he was like, this is fine, there's no caffeine. And I was like, it's still sugar, like go through all the things, and so, but it's like, we need to, just like you were talking about, we need to be cluing in and tuning in to what our bodies need and really just trying to provide that. And sometimes it's hard. I have a client who's trying to not do screens at bedtime, and she is literally having detox symptoms from putting her iPad in the other room. Like she's like, I think I'm sick. I didn't sleep last night. I'm like I was like, oh my gosh, this is intense. So we're like weaning her off, but it's cool to at least have it on her radar and know.
The screen thing, that's huge. I know my 20-year-old son, he actually bought, I forget what the name or the brand is, but it's like a clear locked case. So when he was studying, and it has a timer and a release, but he would put the phone in the
Oh my
case, lock
gosh.
it down. I'm sure there's a, like you can pull it out, some sort of way to get rid
Yeah.
of it. But so it would lock it down, and he would set the alarm or the timer, and then when it was done, it would open, unlock, and he could take his phone out again. And
That's genius.
well, at first I thought, okay, that's over the top. Like, just put it in the other room. And then I thought, no, because your brain's like, who's texting me, or what just happened on social media, or what did I need to look right now. And I thought, that is brilliant.
It is brilliant. Yep. And it's like we need those, I think having it in a box, because it's so easy to just, we don't even think about it now. We just check it.
Yeah.
So even with the full intention of like, I'm going to put this away and for an hour, I'm not going to look at it. It's like without even thinking about it, just because we do it so, I mean, it's a shocking statistic of like how many times we look at our phone a day. It's like thousands of times. Yeah. So it's not even a surprise to think. But I think just having that one barrier of like, it's in a box is like
It's
enough.
an hour, or
Right?
and I have to jump through hoops to open it in case of emergency. And I think with moms, women in business, in general, a lot of things, but specifically I can think of moms and women that are running their own businesses or are in a very like fast-paced business. You justify checking that phone constantly because you're like, well, it's my job, or my child might need me, or so you justify picking that phone up 52 times.
Yep.
Which is silly because you could just put a special tone and all the other tones are not there.
Right. And it's funny. So I just learned, because in the discussion of this exact topic with one of my clients, she learned that if you put like do not disturb, you can have select people be able to break through.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Just my kids. Just
Yeah,
my kids. That's it.
exactly. So it's like, yeah. And then in terms of the like running your own business and having to be able to respond, what an awesome opportunity for us to explore boundaries, right? Which is another thing that like I had a really hard time kind of like, I was like, I'm doing this for my family, so I work 7 days a week. And I started dating somebody who was so total opposite. Like he was like, no way, my company pays me for 9 to 5 and I don't do a minute over. And so it was like, there has to be a good medium, like that we need to meet in the middle at some point. And he was like, yeah, but at what point do you shut off at night where it's a no-go zone? And on the weekends, do you really, and so it was like, that put it in me that my kids deserve to have my undivided attention. And even last night I was doing something and my son was like, can you put that down so that I feel like you're like paying attention to me? And I was like, oh, I absolutely can. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's so, we can think like just because we're talking to somebody and we're multitasking, but it really does kind of send the message of like, this is
You're
more
not,
important.
you're not important this is. And
Right.
I agree with that. I think like when you go out to dinner or you do anything, when you're spending time with people, that your phone should just not be there. We didn't have it when we were growing up. We didn't have anything.
I know.
And so we survived and actually had great times. So I think we can do it.
Yeah.
So you have two more pillars we didn't talk about.
So, yep. So
Faith and fellowship.
Faith and fellowship. So the faith one, like, I had always, like, when I had gone to church when I was younger with my mom, I had always seen people with like their hands up and just looking like so overwhelmed with connection. And I was like, I want that. How come I don't feel that? And so I had my experience later after leaving a crazy abusive marriage, and everything was just absolutely out of control. And so there was one day that I was like beyond and just hit my knees and was like, I am so exhausted and without hope here. Like, I don't know. And everything is a disaster. Like, is there any way that you can help me? And things got way worse before they got better. But I mean, ever since that day, it was literally on that floor, I felt like 1,000,000 pounds were lifted off my shoulders. And I just kind of followed step by step after that. And it's just been incredible to have faith now as opposed to those years without.
And I think when you were talking about how that chapter got pushed to the end, and some people are just, they'll read it, it doesn't necessarily resonate with them,
Yep.
which is always a good thing. I always think, like, it doesn't matter good or bad, you got someone's attention and maybe made them think. one way or the other. You put something new in front of them.
Right? Yeah.
But I think like the way that you explained it, and I know we're joking around about it could be a coconut, but really faith could be anything.
Right.
It could be a religion. It could be faith in yourself. It could be faith in, if you wanted the universe.
The universe, right? Exactly. And that's the thing. Like my oldest, when she said, like, you need to put that at the end, and she was like, you handled it beautifully. But because, like, I mean, I definitely am very bubbly and positive, and it's like, oh my gosh, like, it's life changing. For my oldest, she's like, I believe in karma and the universe, and so it's like, well, I don't want you to think that I don't think that that's right. Like and in the book, I definitely say, I'm going to speak in this chapter from my perspective as a Christian, but I don't ever want anybody to think that I'm trying to persuade you to follow what I follow or believe what I believe. And the whole point is really just, it's so much pressure to think that your life, well-being, and world is all on your shoulders.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I think it's just knowing that there's, even if you can't physically speak to them, knowing that there's something that you can turn to, that it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to be weak, it's okay because you're going to draw strength from that with no judgment. And so, like you said, it could be religion, any religion, family, the universe, 7 crystals and a candle, whatever it is that brings you peace of mind, really.
Right? And it's all about peace. Yeah.
It brings you peace. It's like I get made fun of at work because I'm my best assistant, because I talk to myself all the time. I'll be running around like, I got to do this, and then we do this. They're like, who are you talking to? And I'm like, oh, that's my assistant, because I rely on my assistant, and my assistant can make mistakes. But
oh, I love that.
But that having something that you can just that you don't lean on, but that's there.
Right. It's not like you relinquish control. You're still holding yourself accountable. But it's crazy to think, like, I could leave here and get into an accident, and, that is fully on, like, we were actually almost in a crazy accident the other day, and both my daughter and I kind of braced ourselves. I moved quickly and did everything that I could, but she was in my passenger seat, and I looked through her window and literally saw the grill of this vehicle right there, and both of us cringed and then opened our eyes, and it was like, oh my gosh, we didn't get hit, and everybody around us stopped and was like, it was like the world froze. And it was so wild. Oh, I'm covered in chills, but it was so wild. In that moment, I was up above us and watching, and it was just crazy. But it brings me peace to think that that there was something else, whether it was angels, whether it was, the people who have passed on, who I love and who loved me in my life. It brings me peace to think there is a higher power that has my greater good in mind for, and it's when it's my time, it's my time. But in the meantime, I have somebody watching out for me.
I think that's great. And then loved ones that have passed on. I know I've done this a while, long time. It's the old Scottish folklore in the family. But if you're laying there and you're going through a tough decision or something, I have a million times laid there and been like, Granny, are you up there? Right. Anybody? Grandpa, somebody, can you answer me, please?
Well, and we have, it's funny because a long time ago we started finding, I had a boyfriend, a fiance when I was little, my first love, passed away. And so we find Tommy pennies. And so my kids and I will find pennies, and they happen at the craziest times. And I swear that they're his way of saying, I'm here, I've got you. And it was, and when we were almost in that accident, my middle one is Lonnie, and she was like, do you think that was Tommy? Do you think that was Nana? What was that? That was so crazy. And it brings you peace. It does bring you peace that your loved ones are still with you. Do you know what I mean?
You're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not alone. What was the movie? Was it Interstellar? what was the movie where
That's right.
go
Yes.
through like you
Yeah.
could watch what was happening and you could try to affect it. Right,
Yes.
that's really cool. We could do a whole podcast on that. But
I know. When I watched that, I was actually watching that with somebody who totally understands like time travel, like who's like, no, we can totally time travel. And it was like, what are you talking about?
come on.
And it was like, no, we're only living in this. My son was just telling me yesterday as he was reading one of his crazy things. He was like, did you know that we can only see like 5% of our environment because our eyes are, and I was like, what?
What?
I know. And it's like, it's so cool to think, a lot like whatever, if you believe in aliens or not, it's like, who knows? So why not
We don't
believe in
know.
something that brings you peace?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't know, and we can't prove or disprove anything. So
Right?
whatever it is,
Yeah.
lean into that when you need to, and don't be ashamed, and don't feel like you have to hide it. You don't have to get up and start, on the street corner just yelling it, but it's okay to believe in the coconut.
And a lot of cultures do like that, and that's where that came from. Like they'll worship a tree, they'll worship, and that to me,
Paganism.
yep, and that shows me like everybody who has that innate desire to believe in something. Do you know what I mean? Like we all want that comfort, I feel like, and so and I totally understand. Like some people, like my mom was burned by religion when she was really, really little, and because in the Catholic, she was raised thinking that God was mean and not nice. And so it scared her. And so she had a lot of, recovery from that. And she's full of faith now, but it was a long time. So I totally get it. And I don't want to ever make anybody feel like, that it has to be religion. It's just finding what brings you peace.
I think you could do a whole book on this topic alone, and just title it, Faith in a Coconut or something like that.
I know.
Kind of like a little ode to kind of fun name, but you could do I think you could do a whole thing, because once people understand what you're saying, you're not saying like, okay, it's Sunday, go to church, this is what I'm saying. I'm saying the concept
Right.
of not being alone and having something that you lead into would be a phenomenal book, I think.
I would love that. Maybe I will do that.
Who are the editors out there? Listen to who reads this book.
We do, and I am ready to write it. I know. And after Lily being my universe following, she's my little, she's my crystal child. Like she's like, I believe in the universe, and I was like, baby, whatever,
Yeah.
like do your thing. And then my middle one is like, she is like devout, like we are Christ followers. And then my youngest is like, I don't know what I believe, and it was like,
Lots of
your power
theories.
to you. Yeah, you know. And he's like, I don't know. We could just be like aimlessly floating here, and it was like, just figure, but be open to it. He comes to church with us, and he's like, I mean, I dig it. I don't like the singing, but it's okay. But it's the open mind about it that I love. Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, is to be proud of whatever it is that your children are following or subscribed to, that they're open to. Like, it's okay if you like this, and maybe there's parts I don't agree with and parts that I think are really great, but that's huge in the development of humans in general. Like, if you can be a human like that and draw on the positive, or be willing to think and listen and discuss and
Right.
agree or disagree, but that's amazing.
And just accept, like, this is what you believe. And if it, like, I feel like it's that it removes that us them kind of thing, where it's kind of, instead it's just like, we're all here, we're doing our best. Like I said, like whether it's a coconut or church or whatever, it's like, just do what brings you peace. And it's like, yeah, praying over my kids, praying over like driving safely and getting to our destination okay, like that brings me peace. And that's like, okay,
Right.
And I have a grandfather who, before he passed away, I remember asking him, because my Nana went to church quite a bit, and I was like, do you like going to church so many times throughout the week? And he was like, I don't know if there's a God, but just in case.
Do that though, just in case.
Just in case. And I was like,
No.
that's genius. Like he's covered his bases, and he was a betting man. And I was like, like that's
Just in case when I go, and if I do happen to be up there, I could be like, hey, I was going.
Yeah.
I wasn't perfect, but I was going. I should get in.
Yep.
So
Okay.
fellowship's the last one.
Yep. So I think the being able to have connections is crucial. Obviously, we're social beings. So and I even included in my book, there's like, and I kept it to one sentence, but they've even done studies on like solitary confinement, and it is so damaging to our brains. It is literally like damaging to our brains to not have human connection. And so when you take it beyond just like regular basic connection, and we've all kind of been in like the grocery store and had a random conversation and left kind of feeling like your endorphins are flowing and everything is, you know, a little bit, you have like a skip in your step just from connecting with somebody else. But when you are able to kind of like share the burden of life, whether you feel like you're helping somebody else by listening to them, or being able to share your struggles, like just like we're, you know, whether it's a problem that you're going through or a question that you have or whatever the case might be, just being able to be with, you know, with people. And now that we have all of these awesome capabilities via the internet, you don't even have to be one-on-one with people. We have, I mean, I have a client in Scotland, and she's like, I have so many friends all over the world and I haven't met most of them, but she loves these people and connects with them, whether it's like on a spiritual level or whatever. And it's like, it brings her a sense of connection that's so amazing. Yeah.
It brings you that like you can, on some level, you can talk to someone who's unbiased and doesn't really, they only know what you've given them about yourself. And you're free, you feel okay, and no judgment really. If you can float something by a stranger and just, some of my favorite are if you go and you sit down, you end up talking to a stranger, not getting too deep or personal, but you can say things and you could be like, you wouldn't say to anybody that knew you because you hide and you're shameful or this or that. So interaction with humans is huge. And like you said, you can walk away from a conversation with an extra little skip in your step and a smile on your face. And you're like, oh, that was a good day. Yeah, I got that out. That was a nice person.
And it's funny how, I mean, I was at the grocery store with my son, and we were, you know, trying to look for stuff, and this lady came down the aisle, and I kind of like said something joking about him to her. She said something about her son, and we kind of just like had like a laugh, and it went on for like maybe like 2 minutes. But I go out to the car, and so we're leaving the store, and she was parked right next to me, but she was like, hey, I want to give you my card. Like if you ever want to go like get lunch or something, I would love to hang out. And my son was like, look at you making friends. But it's like, when you just even feel seen, you know, like I feel like it's so cool that there's so many people on this planet, and we're all so busy. And when you have like a time where you kind of connect with somebody, it's just beautiful. And it makes you feel like, you know, I'm seen. It's special.
And I think as particularly moms, or if you've been a caregiver for your elderly parents or whatever situation you've been in, that you've been the nurturer for so long, and you don't have those interactions. Your interactions are the coach you bring in your kids for sports, the teachers, the PTA, the whatever. Those are your interactions. They're not very personal. They don't bring you nearly as much joy. And when you can break out of that eventually, or even like you said, as your children grow older and you even allow, like your aura allows for people to approach you or say like, I'm available now to be a human and talk to you. Or I have places to go and schedules to say to.
No bandwidth. Yeah, there's no room for any more windows to be open. Yeah, like we've got to just focus and get things done. Yeah.
It's such like, it's almost like a weight, you know, comes off of you because you're like, oh, this person's going through the same thing, or oh wow, I have someone I could bounce this off of, and I'm not alone. And like you said before, we think it's so unique to us,
right?
But you find out, oh, Susie's going through the same thing, and wow, she's got some good advice. Or
exactly, why reinvent the wheel if somebody else has already been through it? Back to like, let's write a book. Like if you've been through something and can help, like with my book, if I can help even one hurting woman who is, you know, struggling with something and then gets an aha moment. I talk about aha moments in my book. And it's like, all you need is one. And it can be a complete game changer that starts to put things on the right path for you. And it's like, if we can all get out of our own way and just help one another by like, hey, I've been through that, you know what worked for me, and it's not always going to work, you know, it's not always going to be like what worked for you worked for me. But I can't tell you how many times I've either had something going on with one of the kids or with myself or with my dogs. I mean, it's like if we all kind of like open up and just listen and connect with other people, it's incredible what we can learn.
Absolutely. And what we can achieve.
Yeah.
If we allow it, if we don't stay so self-reliant and stoic, and we're strong, independent women.
We're so good at doing everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing it
Well,
all.
you know what? It's better if you have some help to do that, and could end up being something 10 times better than what you were even trying to achieve on your own.
Yeah.
But tell us all about where we can get the book. Are we going to be able to get it on Amazon and bookstores, or do we need to go to a website to order?
So it will be available on Amazon and through bookstores. And so I have, through my website, sherisesandthrives.com. We just kept it super simple. It's going to be the same name as the book. So
Well, it's brilliant for the book.
Thank you. Thank you. I love it. I absolutely love it. So I'm going to, anybody who wants to have a signed copy can go to my website. And so I'm going to be offering signed copies. And I also made a companion course that's incredible. I had so much fun writing it. And so that's going to be available right through the website. And then if people want to work with me, like if I'm going to be doing group coaching, it was absolutely amazing. The people who read the book were like, we want a community. So we started a Facebook group, and we're just going to.
So smart.
Right? And it's so funny because every day is something new. So like Monday, I do Mindset Mondays, and it's all about like just getting ready, like getting your head straight and right for the week. Like Mondays can be so hard for some people, but not if you can change your thinking. And Sundays are always setting ourselves up for success. And then we have the book club that's in there. And so it's just really fun about everything. And then live Q&As for whether it be on nutrition or any one of the pillars. So that's going to be really fun. So I'm just directing everybody to the website, and then from there, I'm just really hoping that this is something that we just help hurting women all around the world, so that nobody feels
I think it's
alone without
amazing.
hope.
Have you ever considered speaking, like doing speaking engagements?
So I actually just worked with a company here in North Carolina for a January health initiative that they had, and I definitely want to be able to be on stages everywhere, because it was amazing to have the feedback. And I spoke before and then just recently started talking on this topic, and it was pretty incredible. So I'm hoping to do that more.
I think that would be, great to be able to attend the She Rises and Thrives event, It would be so awesome to do that. And such a good, being able to get a community of women together to just talk and listen to what you have to say and how it applies to them. I think that's great. Let me think of more ideas for you. Hold on.
I know. I was just going to say, you need to be my PR person.
What else we could do here? But no, I believe so wholeheartedly in your book and what you're trying to get across to women. And I think any avenue that we can be a part of that, such as your website, the course, the book, the Facebook community, it only elevates us as women. It's really important. So I congratulate you. I know this is not your first book. It's your 52,000th book.
This is my first passion project.
I was going to say, this is a big one. It's a passion project. So I am so happy for you.
Thank you.
Everybody go out and get it. It should be on the bestseller list as soon as it's out. So let's push. Let's make a push for that.
Right. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. I'm so excited.
And I thank you so much for coming on the show today again. And when you release, I Have Faith in a Coconut, we will do another episode. Go buy the website right now, because you're going to have to put that in the book and the workbook. But I thank you so much, Britt. And everybody check out Britt and follow her on all our socials, and stay in touch with us.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you so much.
Bye.